Okay, I did not expect to have a room like this. So thank you for coming. This is crazy. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, I'm not gonna ever like get this chance again maybe, but we're totally in a selfie together. So everybody smile for me. All right, one, 2, 3. All right, I think we're good. All right, I'm gonna trip over that thing a million times because I am really graceful. Okay, so welcome to Frontline Focus. My name is Anna Hughes. I am a STAR director. I live on the coast of Washington State, not DC. So quickly about me, just because I think that this is kind of pertinent. And my notes on my phone. Come on now. All right. So, I joined Sensi in 2013, and I was actually a certified consultant for 2 years. I didn't have a single team member for 2 years. And about 2 years in, I kind of had a why change and put myself out there. I recruited 41 people that year. Obviously, wow. Big change in your business, right? So I started to succeed, and I was more emotionally engaged, but I had a hard time because, you know, I rolled up to Jamie. It took me 6 different sponsors. So I joined, my sponsor quit within probably 3 months. Her sponsor quit, her sponsor quit. So I really didn't have a lot as far as the sponsor goes, right? So I don't know if you're like me, but is there anybody in here who didn't have like a real strong sponsor presence? Yeah, okay, right? So the idea behind this is to prevent that feeling. Because when I started to like roll up and become noticed by Jamie, and I started to get team mail, personally, it felt disingenuous because I'm like, I'm just a number on a report, right? So we're gonna avoid people feeling like a number, okay? So I have a system, and I know that since he had like a whole like broad itinerary for me to cover for you guys, but I found something that's working really, really well for me, and it's crazy replicatable for you and your downline as they start to grow teams. And so I'm gonna teach you that today, okay? So a little bit of a plot twist, but this is, I swear it's gonna be pertinent. Okay. All right. So, before we get into why the frontline relationships are so important, I do want to throw out there that as I was growing, there were just so many people. All of a sudden, I'm recruiting all these people, right? I had no system in place. So I started to feel like, I'm just gonna fly by the seat of my pants. I'm just gonna create these relationships with people, and I'm gonna mentor them. And without a system in place, people get left behind. Even if you're doing your best, right? You're doing your best to mentor every single person, build a relationship with every single person. But if you don't have a system in place, you're going to miss people, and people are gonna start to feel left out. And people are gonna start to feel like you have favorites, right? Have you ever felt like that? Yeah, okay. So we have to have a system in place for that because we don't want that to happen either. That's, why do people stay here? Because of the relationships that we build. So super, super, super important. One of the other things that I did when I was new, and I thought, as a new leader, I thought, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna print out a survey and I'm gonna send it to all of my new consultants. And they can fill it out, and I'll put a self-addressed stamped envelope in there, and they'll just put it in the envelope and they'll send it back to me, and I'll have something on file for them. Do you think that they did it and sent it back? Even if I stamped it for them? I mean, come on, I made it so easy. They didn't do it. I tried badgering them to get them to do it, but they didn't do it. So, yeah, that was kind of frustrating. So, anyways, all in all, I feel like I'm a really good person to do this breakout just because I had those feelings and I failed as a new leader. And I think that this system is going to work really, really well for you guys. So, all right, let me grab my little clicker thingy. All right. Why is it important to have good relationships with your frontline? Rather than just looking for rock stars in your downline, it's important to have a good relationships with your frontline because you are their person. Whether you recruited them, whether you sponsored them, or they rolled up to you, you're their person. So you need to have a good relationship with them. People come into this because they're missing something, whether it's they're missing money, or they're missing the relationship factor, or whatever it may be. Maybe they need the recognition. People are here for a reason, and you are the one that's going to help them get what it is that they need here. But on a more selfish level, your active frontline plays a direct role in what your paycheck is. If you didn't know that, okay? When you have a relationship with your frontline, the likelihood of them performing and being active, way up, okay? So we're gonna build the relationship with your frontline so that you have more frontline active, and if you have more frontline active, they're more likely to have downline that are active too, which means a better paycheck for you. So I'm gonna show you some examples of that. It's kind of crazy here in a minute. Example 1, so directors. Director A and Director B have basically the exact same PRV and team wholesale volume, but look here at the frontline active. Director A has 4 frontline active, Director B has 13 frontline that are active. Look at the difference in paycheck. We've got about a $500 difference just because we have a more active frontline. Yeah. Wholesale is basically the same, personal sales is basically the same. That's a crazy difference. These are actual numbers that have been taken from my upline, Jacqueline Roy. So these are real stats. I'm not making this up. Example 2, Star Consultant. Star Consultant A, Star Consultant B. Basically the same numbers again. 3 frontline active, 7 frontline active. $200 difference. So yeah, it's a big deal. Active frontline is a thing, okay? Sorry, didn't everybody make sure that they wanted on that? Okay. So, to build relationships with these people, we need to communicate. And it's relevant communication in a way that they want to talk to people. And that means that it's consistent, it's timely, it's specific, it's genuine. So, I hate to talk about this because it makes me feel like, I'm not a super authentic person. But anybody in here familiar with Enneagram? Enneagram, yeah. Enneagram is my jam. It's a personality test. It gives you numbers based from 1 to 9. Enneagram 3, that's what I am, as a performer. We tend to be really, really interested in making sure that people like us. But a downfall is that sometimes our relationships seem shallow because we're more concerned about them liking us rather than having a depth of relationship. So, we need to have genuine and specific conversations to build those relationships. So, we're gonna find out about these people. How are we gonna do that? I'm not gonna break into, you guys anybody do focus on the 5? This is basically wrapping around focus on the 5, right? Who are they? Why are they here? Why did they join? Discovering about your downline is super important because you're not gonna coach them on somebody who wants to build an empire. You're not gonna be coaching somebody like that, the same person that came in for a discount, right? And obviously people can change, I get that. But knowing why, what's that? I know. That's totally gonna go down. Somebody's gonna put it on YouTube. It's gonna be a sensation. So knowing about your person is a big deal. And having those notes on each person is super helpful with that because, like me, you're trying to just memorize everything about everyone or hope that they send you back the survey that you sent out. Great intentions. Yeah, remember that mail and that return flop on that one. So, what I realized that I was missing is I needed a system for how I could keep track of things that they're doing that are out of character. So if they are, anybody in here do team mail? Team recognition with posts. Yeah? Okay, if you're doing recognition, awesome. But how are you finding out what to recognize for people? The workstation, right? You're running it, you're seeing, okay, who promoted, who recruited, who got top 10? Well, what if top 10 is, these people who did up to 500 PRV a month, okay? Well, what if you got somebody who is active every 2 or 3 or 4 months who just put in a $400 order? They didn't make it in the top 10. Did you notice them? Maybe not. And that's really hard because we do our best to make sure that we see these things and we're doing the mail every month and we're shouting them out on the team page. But if you don't see it because that system fails you, then that person falls through the cracks and that person feels like, well, I'm not doing enough. And they don't stick. And that's the last thing that you want, right? So the system that I created to track what they're doing is gonna help you with that. I've also got a way to track them whether or not they're on the will cancel list, how often they're on the will cancel list. We just don't want people to feel like they're a name on a report. I didn't have a relationship with home office when I got a call from Jason Harwood to ask, oh, what are you doing? Why are you recruiting all these people? Yet I still felt like I was just a name on a report. So building the relationships early is so important. Don't wait until they're doing something to make them worth your time. They're all worth your time. Everybody brings something to the table. So this is gonna help you recognize them as often as possible and as easily as possible. I like to send mail. So it said mail every 3 to 4 months. I'm gonna be honest with you. At one point I had downline that I realized I hadn't talked to in 6 or 8 months. Frontline I hadn't talked to in 6 or 8 months. There's something wrong with that. That's not the way that this is supposed to be. That is not Scentsy. So I'm finding ways to send mail, whether it's birthdays, anniversaries, paid at title streak. They may not have been my top 10. They may not have recruited. They may not, sometimes it's a random card. Hey, I hope your dad's doing better. Because I'm able to keep notes on what's going on with those people with the form that we're gonna get to. Okay, so I have an About Me form that I use for guided conversation. And the idea here is the same, it's the exact same form that I was sending to my frontline and expecting them to send back and send back to me. Only the process is, I don't sit down and talk to them and ask them every question on the form. I just sit down and I talk to them, and the answers that I get, I fill in. And every time I talk to them, if I find out more answers, I fill them in. It's just something that I keep on them. This is, okay, so we're jumping ahead because my forms aren't in here. I don't know why. That's a problem. Marina? Okay, well, that's okay. All right, well, this is, what you're seeing here is one of my frontline sheets. And so this is what I'm trying to get to. Frontline sheets is what I'm just calling them. So they're super basic like this. This is an exact example of one of my frontline and their productivity, okay? So, why are these so jumbled? Okay, so this is the front line. The front line, you can see here in the PRV column, she was on the will cancel list, and that month she stayed active. And I'm only monitoring my front line with these sheets, you guys. So I'm only keeping track of my front line. Whether you have 10 front line or you have 100 front line, it doesn't matter. I swear it really doesn't take that long. Everyone in my front line has a sheet that looks like this, my front line, okay? Every month, when I run my reports, I sort everybody alphabetically, and then I just record their numbers. Their PRV for the month, their recruits for the month, their group wholesale volume for the month, how big is their group, what's their title, what level are they to me? Are they my front line? We're getting to that in a second. When was the last time that they got a piece of mail from me? Then I can see at a glance. When was the last time that they got a piece of mail from me? That's important. But more importantly, by only tracking my front line, what's going on here? Right? What's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on here? Group is growing. She's not doing it. Wholesale's growing. She's not doing it. What does that tell you? It tells you that you need to go and look into your downline under that person. Because here is an exact example of someone in her downline. About March, I realized I need to talk to this girl. So I said, hey girl, I see you. You're doing things. Like, she was not running in my top 10, so she was not on my radar. I said, I see a lot of myself in you because I didn't recruit, I was afraid to recruit. I didn't want to ask people and have them tell me no and, oh my God, they're gonna reject me and I'm gonna feel dumb. Get over yourself, right? So I told her, we need to do this. She said, oh, I tried everything, nobody wants to join me. Let's talk. We talk. Next month, first recruit. Next month, 2 more recruits. By monitoring my frontline, I'm able to see activity within their downline to know that there's somebody worth my time. So you're focusing on your frontline, but you're also discovering rock stars within the process to know who to work with, right? Simple, right? It's crazy. So the cool thing about this form is you can see trends, right? Remember when I was saying that it's hard when somebody's on the will cancel list every 4 months and then they do a $400 order, and unless you notice it by chance, because you know the top 10 is probably not gonna pull it up, this is gonna help you to know, oh my gosh, well now she's recruiting. What did she do that month to get a $900 order? You're able to have conversations with people that are specific and meaningful and timely. Remember, those are the things we're talking about. This is genuine conversation. I can give feedback to people based on what they're doing by watching their trends. And I know that, well, Anna, I can look that up on the workstation by clicking their name and seeing the graph. Are you gonna do that? Are you gonna go in and look at everybody's graph every month and take a look at it? No. Let's be honest with ourselves, we're not gonna do it. So if I have a sheet for all my frontline in my book, and once a month I go through and I record everybody's numbers, and then I make it my prerogative that month to reach out to every single one of my frontline, my goal is talk to them at least twice. But realistically, once a month is a hell of a lot better than, 6 to 8 months without talking to them, right? Sorry. Authentic. Yeah. So then the cool thing is at the bottom of this form, I just have a big blank space. And I just put notes in there. Because if I notice that somebody had something happen and all of a sudden they stopped producing anything, and we talk and I find out that their dad died, I'm gonna put that down. And if they still haven't done anything in 3 or 4 months when I'm doing mail and I notice that, I'm gonna send a card and say, hey, how are you doing? Right? Because you can't expect yourself to remember all of those things all the time. You guys, it's not just Scentsy. I mean, you have kids, you have jobs, you have families. I mean, there's just so much. So you're not superhuman. You're not gonna remember everything all the time. So being able to have a system like this is gonna make it a whole lot easier for you to form relationships and be genuine and make them feel like they wanna have a connection with you, right? So, happy to say Miss Downline, the one that we just left, she is hot on it and she wants director this fall. So, wow. So, okay. So, I really, really, really wanted to show my forms with you and my About Me form that I use. So I have an About Me form, and honestly, you can kind of see it on the back of this sheet because it leaks through. I have on there things like the way that they prefer to communicate, whether it's text, email, Facebook, Marco Polo. You guys use Marco Polo? Everybody in here use Marco Polo? Yeah. If you're not raising your hand, download Marco Polo. Legit game changer. It's amazing. They can see your face. They can hear your tone. You can, it's so much better. Now this form is something that I actually got from Jamie, but it's just, you have to have something like that in place. Don't take things from nothing. So, like I said, with that form, the last thing you want to do is call your people up and say, hey, so, do you have a spouse? What's their name? What do they do for a living? Do you have kids? How old are they? What are their names? Totally creepy. That's not the way to build a relationship, right? So make yourself a form. Like, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna upload my forms to the SFR page. So you guys can just go in and print them off. Okay, right? Okay. Because I want you to see that, because that's honestly where my game changer was. And then I just print them, this on the front side, the about me stuff on the back side. Super, super simple. And it's super duplicatable, super replicatable for your downlines to do the same. So if you're monitoring your frontline, and your frontline starts to grow a team, and they start monitoring their frontline, do you think that there are going to be people who have to roll up 3 or 4 times and then doubt whether or not things are like valid because they've just not had the feels for that long? No, this is something that can totally break that cycle, and that's what I want for you guys. So, yeah. So we're not going to do an activity since my forms aren't on there. They're not. I don't know what's going. Yeah, come on up. If they're here, that'd be awesome. Oh no, those are just examples. Does anybody have any questions? Amy.
So when you and I talked about this, you said you're using those little tabs. Are you still using them?
Yeah, sometimes I use the tabs. Honestly, I've kind of moved towards, so does anybody in here use an ARC system or Great 365? That's the bomb, okay? To be able to just stick those in people's frontline sheets in there as they join you, because I keep everything alphabetized, so it's just easier in my workstation when I transfer numbers. Another great thing is if they cancel, you can just pull them out and put them in the back, so when you go to look at who needs to reinstate, you've got all that information right there. So that's pretty handy too. So what I was talking about with Amy is if I've got somebody who's like a live one, I was using the little post-it flags just to put one on those sides. So if I have time to, I've already contacted everybody for the month, and I have time to sit down and reach out to a few extra people, then I might work on those ones with the tabs on them, either if they're a director or they're just somebody who's real hot right now, then those would be the ones that I would work on. You in the back.
Which FSR page?
I'm gonna put it on, it's like SFR Texas 7 dash, you know what I'm talking about? No, it's just like the regular SFR page. I think there's like 4,000 people on that one. Yeah, well, if that's the one right there. It looks like this. It says greetings from Austin on it on the top. Okay? That's the one I'm part of. If you want to send me the link for the other one, I'll join it and then I'll add my links there too. Yeah, that one. Yeah, okay. I'll make sure I'm in both of them. Okay. Questions? More questions? You. I use ARC. So ARC is like a disc bound system. It's like these little, it's like 6 or 9 plastic discs.